I think you'll notice if I don't use more than 5 bullet points per slide, if I told you to use 5 and had 6, I'd expect somebody to jump me. Use phrases, not sentences. Now, I am aware that there are 1 or 2 faculty members around IIT and other institutions that will tell you to use a whole sentence. If you have to sell your soul to the devil to make them happy, that's fine. But for IPRO Day, phrases are plenty. You start putting sentences into it, very long and very convoluted, very hard to follow. And what's the purpose of that slide up there in the first place? Number 1, forget the note card. If you get lost, you just kind of casually look back and say, oh yes, I wanted to talk about phrases and not sentences. Your audience can see that. Some of you speak with an accent. I understand I speak with an accent too, a Chicago accent. Makes it easier for somebody to know what you said. Some people don't hear very well. They might miss what you said. You might get nervous and mumble a little bit. So that's why it's there. Microsoft, very nice. You can put 20 bullets on a slide, and the fonts keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller until you wonder whether those are words and numbers or whether a fly has been walking across your screen. Use pictures if you can. Be careful with the special effects. I think they've taken it off, but there was a version of PowerPoint where each time the slide advanced, it simulated an automobile accident. And I had a student practicing this thing, and every slide would go, beep, beep, as the glass shattered. And every time he did that, I went like this. And I said, well, let me do that like 2 or 3 more times. I'm going to hit you with that computer. So shut the noise down on that thing. So forget the cute stuff. Practice, but don't memorize. Practice so you know what you're going to say, so you can handle the transitions. If you memorize it, you run the risk of getting nervous and forgetting in the middle. And if any of you ever got nervous at a piano recital and had to go all the way back to the beginning of where you had Little Lamb, you know how embarrassing that can be. So don't memorize. When you memorize, it comes across as canned. And this should be a conversation. This should be a story that you're telling us. Preparing for questions. When I do an actual coaching session, I'll say to the person presenting, what is the absolute rottenest, worst question anybody could ask you? And they tell me. And then guess what I do next? Ask them that question. They said, that ain't fair. I just told you, you should be prepared. So prepared, in fact, that if nobody asks that question, you should say, gee, I expected one of you to ask me something about my criminal record, or whether I was going to stop beating my wife, or whatever that might be, whatever that tough question was. Since you didn't ask, I'll ask myself. Or my buddy in the audience will ask that question on my behalf. You need to be comfortable no matter what could be asked. Keep your presentation light, but forget the jokes. IPRO is too serious to try to compete with the TV comedians. When you're presenting in class, remember that the other students are sitting there saying, well, I'm glad he or she is up there sweating. My turn is next. They should not be too difficult. They should not be too tough on you. Be real clear of what you want to achieve with the presentation. Is this entertainment? I recently had a chance to roast my brother-in-law at his 70th birthday, and I slaughtered him. There was a very different talk that I would give for a classroom, or for an IPRO day, or whatever. Are you persuading somebody to do something? You're trying to sell them something? Trying to get them to do something for you? Trying to get some input from them to help solve a problem? Are you informing them? Are you trying to get a decision made? Decide who that is and who's your audience. Be sure you know who the experts and the novices are. As I said, you can go talk to the judges and see who's what, where they come from. In a larger group, get there early. If there's a coffee hour or a cocktail hour or whatever, wander around a little bit, meet a couple of people, talk to them, find out why they're there, what's their background. You're liable to find out that they're all kindergarten teachers, or they're all PhD physicists. You ought to know which of those extremes it is before you get up there and do your presentation. Time available. When somebody tells you we have 20 minutes, first question you should say, does that include question and answer period? Is somebody else going to be speaking? Food before or after? Where are we going to be? And what about the audiovisual stuff? I won't tell you all the horror stories that I have dealt with in my career, but I've had some dandies, including using bed sheets for screens in China 30 years ago, including a German company who didn't have a 35mm projector, so we had to take the slides over to the window while the guy looked through a spyglass. So all kinds of horrible stuff can happen. Be prepared. Jim will know we used to carry, when we go overseas, we would carry transparencies, hard copy, 35mm, computers, zip drives, CDs, and say, okay, bring it on. Bring me any technical problem with your own I'll just tell you the one about the projector in China. They did a big presentation on a 5-day meeting. We said, where's the projector? They said, okay, we'll get it. They had a table on wheels they brought out, and it had a connector on there, a 440-volt connector that came off of a welding machine with a 110-volt opening in the wall. So the poor guy that brought it out got his penknife out, cut that great big connector off, stuck the 2 wires in there, and this thing had its own generator. So it spun up like it was a jet engine, probably about 6,000 RPM. You threw a switch, the thing started sparking and arcing. I thought Frankenstein was going to jump out of this thing. The lights came on, and we showed the presentation on the bed sheets on the wall. Okay? Nothing stops a real professional speaker. Nothing should stop you. Nothing should be quite that bad on IPRO day. Just be prepared no matter what happens. So, when you have a time availability that should be religiously followed, you should ask somebody to give you the 3-minute, 2-minute, 1-minute, and you're finished kind of a sign. In most financial presentations, when the 20 minutes is up, the host stands up, gives a round of applause, and says, let's thank our speaker. And you say, I'm not finished yet. They say, oh, yes, you are. That's the way we will run the 20-minute allocation IPRO. So you divide the time by 1.5, you get how many slides you get at. So order of magnitude 14. You cannot tell us everything you did for the entire semester. Slide 1 should be a title. Slide 2 should have some introduction. Tell me a little bit about the problem. You get near the end, there should be some conclusions that you draw or recommendations. The last one is a question mark, so the people know you're prepared to ask questions. You're 25% done already. All you got to do is fill in a couple words. Be very clear what the purpose is yourself. What are you trying to get across? Are you trying to show that you did solve the problem? You're going to talk more about the approach that you took to this thing, talk more about the scientific problems you ran into or the human relations people you ran into in this project. But real clear what the story is going to be. Some people like to put a condensed version of their presentation on the 3rd slide with an introduction, problem statement, the flow diagram, the product specification, whatever that happens to be, so people know where you're going, what they're looking for. I happen to like to use PowerPoint. The outlining feature is very interesting. I usually go all the way to the full slides. It's so easy to shuffle things around. This didn't quite make sense. This should be before this idea, that should be before this idea. Now does it flow better? Yeah, I'm still missing something. I need a picture or something. Put in a slide, write the word picture, and then we'll look for the picture. Be sure that the story flows. A lot of people ask about passing out a hard copy. I don't like to pass out a hard copy because everybody in the world says I will not jump ahead, and everybody in the world jumps ahead. So I don't do a hard copy before. Make sure that as you're preparing and planning, you're making notes on your hard copy. You're putting down the kind of questions you would expect, and maybe think of some anecdotes you're going to share with people on the line. Case studies can be very powerful. Instead of a dry recitation of the facts of some process that we've looked at, Remote theater is a good example. You can tell them, we walk into that place, here's some pictures of what it looked like, here's some of the people who have been trying to do some of these things in the past, these are some of the challenges they run into, this is what happened with the over them. Make it kind of an interesting story to show. Well, I was in industry, someone by the name of Larry Watson, who was CEO of our company. Larry won the award 3 years running for the meanest CEO in the country. He also quadrupled the earnings of the business, so that wasn't so bad. He listened to lots and lots of presentations, probably 100 presentations a week. He required that every presentation, every slide, have a little box at the bottom that he called a takeaway, which is what do you want me to remember from this particular slide. Might have a bunch of data and so forth, and so the takeaway might be, we need to drop this product, it's hopeless, or we need to reduce cost 10% or we can't compete, whatever it happened to be. When if you said, well, gee, Larry, I couldn't think of any takeaway to put on that slide. And anybody guess what his next comment would be? Why did you waste my time? Get out of there. There's nothing you want me to remember. Don't waste my time. What does he got? Make sure your slides are in proper order. It's easy to shuffle them when it's in PowerPoint. Remember that short words are better than long. Blood draw is better than phlebotomy. You're not here to impress somebody with your vocabulary. One of Winston Churchill's most famous speeches was given in about 1946. He went to a graduation ceremony of a boys' school, Remember, he had been prime minister during the war, he had been war cabinet, he had been head of the Navy, very successful politician, very successful military leader. And here was his speech to these young boys. Never give up. Never. 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 Thank you. Those guys are 90 years old today, those who are still alive. And you say, do you remember when Winston Churchill came to speak? What did he say? Word for word. How do you remember what Winston Churchill had to say? There was nothing unclear about that presentation. I guarantee you that Churchill knew lots of 8-syllable words. He knew anti-totalitarianism and the model of microscopic so-called volcanoconiosis and a bunch of words like that. He used 5-letter words to get his message across. And those kids never forgot. So don't try to impress somebody, communicate with somebody. Transitions help. When you finish with a problem statement, okay, now I've explained the problem. Let me tell you some of the approaches that we took. It's a little bit of a kind of a traffic direction. What happened between now and the next slide? Frequently, you can ask and answer a question. Why do I think the cost estimate I just showed you is correct? Because I've got a quotation, and the next slide is a quotation from the vendor. Something of that nature. Check spelling. When I was a campus recruiter, people who misspelled Illinois Institute of Technology did not get invited to the company for a job interview. Okay? People who couldn't spell Michigan Avenue did not get invited to the company for a job interview. Okay? That's the real world. I'm sorry. Be sure any acronyms or technical terms have been defined. Once you define them, you can use them. At the very beginning, make sure they're covered. Go back and think of what was the subject I was supposed to cover. Did I really do it? Or did I start wandering around and talk about other stuff? If so, fix it. Does my conclusion make sense given the problem statement I set up and the facts and the analysis that I shared? Does that make sense? If not, fix it. Is the problem statement still abundantly clear? And remember that these are people who have absolutely no background. You walk into that room, they have no idea who you are, what you're working on. You got to get them in the first 30 seconds. Here's the problem that we're working on. Okay? Make sure the pictures support your story. Pictures of cute puppies sometimes get people's attention, but they have nothing to do with the subject that you're working on, just that was their attention. Who should you practice your presentation with? Someone who has no clue about the subject. If you're a chemical engineer giving a chemical engineering presentation to another chemical engineer, their feedback will be useless to you. Find an English major, find a janitor, find somebody, and make sure that it makes sense to them. Because otherwise, you'll get away with jargon and equations and so forth. Anytime you get a chance to practice, whether it's introducing a speaker to your department, or a campus club, or whatever it happens to be, go ahead and take the practice. When it comes time to do your presentation, take a deep breath, get some oxygen in your brain, take a drink of water, get rid of some of that cotton. Look at the audience, look for those 2 or 3 friendly faces that you've met when you wandered around, and speak up. A couple other quick ones, and then we're done. Number 1, there's a disease. It's called paralysis of this finger. It's called the Anderson syndrome. You've had your 90 seconds, you've said what you need to say, and you need to hit that button and move to the next slide, and your finger just won't go there. Learn to say what you have to say and get on with it, okay? That's how you get in trouble on time. And you say, well, wait, maybe I need to use my whole 90 seconds. Fine, you put 30 seconds in the bank, you can use it on the slide. Make sure your words match the slide. Worst presentation I ever saw said marketing across the top, they talked about finance. Said finance across the top, they talked about technology. Said technology across the top, they talked about competition. Well, wait a minute, I'm lost. You tell me one thing, and you say something different. And the worst thing I ever saw was they gave the whole speech with just the title block up there. Never heard of the situation. I call this a special situation. I think it's not special anymore. In the engineering and technical professions, you are always going to talk to an audience containing people for whom English is not the first language. Maybe even English is not your first language. So you need to speak slowly so people can get used to your cadence, used to your pronunciation, used to your voice. No convoluted sentences. I hate these things where, I'm going to tell you about platinum catalyst on aluminum bases, but it could be silica bases, but then if you do, then you got a surface area limitation. But if you have a nitrogen, keep it simple. Peel the onion. I'm going to talk about catalyst. Platinum catalyst. Platinum catalyst used to make gasoline. Everybody know what gasoline is? Okay, we go to the next step. It may sound like you're talking choppy, but you make sure people can follow you. And from time to time, check for understanding. Are we all together? Are you looking? Do you understand? When the Q&A comes, plan a couple just in case. You want to be